Friday, Aaron Torres joining us from the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast and Aaron Torres Media. Be hosting on Fox Sports Radio later on. He's on our Lewis Automotive Group hotline here. AT, you get to see the top 4 seeds in the SEC get going today. And, man, the first 2 days have just been outstanding basketball to watch.
Outstanding basketball to watch, fun basketball to watch. I thought it was a great showing yesterday for the Razorbacks. I mean, I was watching that game, and I was trying to figure out, especially after Joe, like I didn't understand how they were even in the game. I mean, basically, I don't know if you guys have any updated info on Big Z, but it seemed pretty clear that he was unplayable. And I was thinking about it after. I think he was probably only in uniform just because they needed a body in case of emergency. But, I mean, you know, they're essentially playing with 5 guys for, the last 6 minutes of the game. And they were really playing with 6 the entire game. So I thought it was a great effort. I don't know if it's a conversation you guys have had. I don't think it's the worst thing to get home. You know, I'll be honest, I'm not a bracketologist. I don't really understand. I mean, a guy I respect, Dan Schulman, even after the game was, we'll see if it's enough for Arkansas on Selection Sunday. It's like, I don't know how many more games they had to win before people stopped saying it. But, yeah, I thought it was a great showing for the Razorbacks. Get home, get healthy, get ready for the tournament. And to your point, Phil, you know, shows how deep this league is. It shows how deep this league is. We've had 4 great games 2 days in a row, and the 4 best teams, including 4 potential number 1 seeds, still haven't tipped off yet. So totally awesome tournament. Jealous I'm not in Nashville, and I cannot wait to watch all the games ahead today.
You had Billy Richmond, his growth, Aaron. I don't know if how tough he is. He's like the strongest athlete out there, like almost like a free safety with him. And then what do you make of Jonas Adu? Is he a top 10 big in all of college basketball right now? Because the last about 4 or 5 games, he's looked like a top 10 big.
Yeah, Billy Richmond, I love the football analogy, Matt. He's like the linebacker that doesn't really know the playbook. But he goes full
But he goes to 11,
every,
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, he's like Bobby Boucher, only, you know, obviously Bobby Boucher maybe not as intellectually intelligent, but that's what it is. It's just full speed ahead. I have loved watching his growth this year. I frankly didn't really have a ton of expectation for him, and I know he's kind of become kind of a quote-unquote cult figure with the Razorbacks. But then to your point, Matt, you know, I'll be real, is that even going back to last year, you know, I liked Jonas Adu. I saw the value in bringing in a Jonas Adu. But, you know, I don't, you know, I'll be real, is I don't know that I was totally surprised by his struggles early because I thought he was a little bit limited. And then over just the last, you know, 2-3 weeks to see that guy's growth. And I want to give credit to one guy specifically, and not that others don't deserve credit, but it's funny how a narrative can change on you and how dumb people on the internet can change narrative because, you know, throughout his career, Kenny Payne was kind of known as a big man whisperer as an assistant coach, goes to Louisville. It clearly doesn't work out. And he kind of, for whatever reason, has become known as, kind of this punching bag. And it's like, you know, you go back to the beginning of Coach Cal's struggles a little bit at Kentucky, it directly coincides with Kenny Payne taking a job in the NBA and then eventually the Louisville job. And so as I've watched Jonas Adu grow among all the big guys have been good at various points throughout the year. I've thought about Kenny Payne because this is really what he was known for. And I think the confidence that you're seeing Jonas Adu play with is reflective of the work that all that staff does. But I think Kenny Payne specifically deserves a lot of credit for the development of Jonas Adu.
And he wouldn't be the only assistant coach who's been great as an assistant that struggled in a head coaching role. Just, you know, to pick the sport. It doesn't make him an idiot. It just means maybe he was in a difficult spot to begin with. But you know, if you were to here's the thing about Arkansas right now. It's like you still you're down to 6 players and then you're down to 5 because they do fouls out and you don't have Z available essentially. And hopefully in the next week. He'll be able to heal from the thumb. You know, Cal started him yesterday, so he obviously thought he would have been okay to play. But, for the most part yesterday, you got good performances from players. It's just as a team, there are these peaks and valleys, and I know that happens throughout any game, but it just seems that the peaks and the valleys are just the amplitude between the good and the bad just is so incredible within each game that we're watching right now. I mean, we see stretches of 7-8 minutes where it's like, what is going on offensively? And then there's other stretches where they're moving instinctually and creating on the fly. It's just the between the good and the bad is just, there's a huge difference right now.
Well, there is, but, I think it's, when you're asking basically 5 guys, 6 guys to be playing 36, 37 minutes, I mean, I don't think mentally you can maintain that for 40 minutes, and I don't think physically you can maintain it for 40 minutes. Now, I'll say you go back to the South Carolina game, obviously we're phenomenal in the first half. I thought the second half, I really thought it was the whistle more than anything that slowed down Arkansas. I mean, it was felt like about 6, 7, 8 straight possessions. Either Trevin Brazile or Jonas Adu got called for foul, and I thought that more than anything allowed South Carolina to get back into the game, although obviously, when you don't make a field goal, you can't place that all on the refs. When you go 8-9 minutes without making a field goal, I don't know. I mean, I know you guys talk about every game. I don't worry about that as much because I just think that it is I don't even think it's human nature. I think it's biology. I think it's physically impossible for 5, 6 guys to be playing 38, 39 minutes when other teams are playing 8, 10, 12 players, whatever it is. And so I'm not as worried. I think the other thing, too, I think the first South Carolina game was clearly an aberration. Coach Cal said it after the game, hey, we've played 8, 9 high-leverage games in a row. We were due for a clunker. I think those clunkers are out of the system. So I don't know. I'm not trying to be, lukewarm Torres without giving you a strong opinion. I understand why it's a concern. I also I don't know how worried you can be because, again, I just don't know that the human body, when you're asking basically all these guys to play 40 minutes, can physically do it, and you're going to have a stretch. And, obviously you hope it's a stretch that doesn't, impact the win-loss column. But I don't know, man. I give them so much credit. They just keep fighting.
Hey, around college basketball, Aaron, I mean, other teams are dealing with injuries as well. If is Cooper Flagg, if he can't go, does that hurt Duke's chances of getting a 1 seed, or what's the latest with him?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty strategic by John Shire yesterday after the game, where he basically insinuated, I don't think I'm going to play him, but if those guys, he basically said the guys every guy in the locker room would have to be in unison saying that he should play for me to even think about it. And I think that was his way of saying, like, Cooper Flagg could pull a Willis Reed if necessary, and why people maybe aren't picking up on why that's a big deal. The committee, if there's a season-ending injury that, basically if the team that built the resume to get a 1 seed or a 2 seed or whatever, if there's a player that isn't going to be able to play that helps you build the resume, the committee can, in fact, basically kind of bump you down to what they believe
remember when
you
Kenyon
would be.
Martin? Yeah, Aaron, you remember when Kenyon Martin happened? They were the number 1 overall seed, but then they weren't because he broke his leg and was actually out. So I think that's one. Did it happen to Zion as well? I think he had got hurt kind of when they were going in. I don't know if they were going to be a number 1 overall seed.
Yeah, no, Zion got hurt, and I think there was some talk. I mean, I remember, this is a very random example, but, there was one year, and this sounds crazy now considering how bad the team was, but I think it was 2009. Syracuse was a number 1 seed, and Boeheim for like a month straight, they had a player named Arinze Onawaku, and for like a month straight, Boeheim, every update, he's a day or two away, and, this probably started before the then Big East tournament, and then they get to the second round of the tournament, and I think everybody started to realize this kid's not coming back. Boeheim just said that because he didn't want it to impact their seeding. So I think that's why Shire said it. Duke, I think if he was definitely out for the year, I think it'd be a worthy conversation. I think Shire's been strategic about making it obvious that he's not out for the year. And then I just think it becomes a question. I don't think he's playing in Charlotte this week. Their regional is they're going to go to Raleigh. Their regional would be Friday, Sunday. I would assume he would sit versus a 16 seed. So, Matt, you've probably dealt with more of these things certainly than I have. But I think if he doesn't play in the ACC tournament, if they get that Friday, Sunday regional, you could be looking at potentially Sunday for a return that's, 9-10 full days of rest. I don't know how close you could get to 100%, but I do think that at that point it's kind of like, okay, that's about as much rest time as you can ask for this time of year. So that would be my guess. Is I think we don't see Cooper Flagg probably until the second round of the NCAA tournament.
Aaron, what's your opinion on the ability to play your way off the bubble into the NCAA tournament in a conference tournament? And there's an adjoinder to that, Texas. Texas is the enjoyment because we're talking about the difference between 12 and 13 teams getting in. They beat Tennessee. I mean, some people think they're already in right now. I'm not too sure. It'd be a win over Tennessee. I mean, does that do it?
I don't know if it does it because you just never know. The thing I'll say is that, first of all, for all these bubble teams, if you even want to include Arkansas as a pseudo bubble team, things are working out about as well as you could ask for. I mean, I don't think we're getting a major bid. There's not going to be an NC State like last year in any of these conferences. The Mountain West last night basically had everybody advance that you would need to advance. So I think it's working out well. Listen, I don't know with Texas. I thought they minimally had to win, and I'm not a bracketologist, but just going off of everything else, I thought they minimally had to win too. I think if they win today, I still don't know if they're in, Phil. And it's interesting, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but the Big 12 this week decided to take a page out of the SEC. They were at 20 league games this year. They decided to go back to 18, and I think the insinuation is basically like, look, at a certain point, when you do, there's like a threshold of losses where it doesn't matter how good the wins are. If you have 15 losses, I mean, it's just tough for me to say that an 18-15, 19-15 team should be in when you lost 15 times during the regular season. So with Texas, I would think that if they win today, I'd think it'd be tough. And I'll try to be quick because I know I'm going long here. But, I mean, because it's not just them. Again, it's everybody else across the country. Ohio State lost their conference tournament opener. Who else? I'm trying to think here off the top of my head. Indiana lost their conference tournament opener. There's just so many teams that have not made runs, that have not done what they need to do. So I have no problem if you're in a power conference having the opportunities to pick up good wins, and I think they should count towards your resume. I also think this, too. I don't think it should supersede what you've done over a 4-month season. And if you look at Texas's resume, they do have some pretty big blemishes, some bad losses in the league, no really great out-of-conference wins. So I do still think I'm with you as very much. They probably still have work to do today. If they win today, I think that's where it certainly gets very, very, very interesting.
Enjoy the basketball, Aaron. Appreciate you, man. We'll be talking NCAA tournament basketball next week.
Yeah. All right. I hope Hogs don't have a Saturday bracket so we can actually preview a game. Although in that case, maybe we'll be recapping a fun opening round win. So, all right, guys, I'll let you run. I appreciate you here on a Friday. Thank you.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA and college basketball to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here.